The man in the ragged coat hesitated at the register, his hands trembling as he unfolded a few crumpled dollar bills. Behind him, customers shifted impatiently, some glancing at their phones, others sighing quietly. But the cashier, her name tag read Maya Collins, didn't rush him. She smiled gently and leaned in. "Don't worry about it," she said, slipping a few bills from her own pocket into the register. "You need to eat." From the back of the line, a man in a faded hoodie and worn jeans watched in silence. His heartbeat was steady, but his mind raced. His name was Julian Wells, and he wasn't just another customer. He owned the entire fast food chain. It had been his father's before him, and though it had grown to 13 locations, lately Julian had started hearing things, troubling things. Complaints from customers. High turnover. Managers brushing off concerns. Frustrated with vague reports and corporate buffers, Julian had decided to see for himself. He chose this location specifically, one he'd never personally visited. Disguised as an ordinary customer, he slipped in unnoticed. He hadn't expected to witness something so telling so quickly. The homeless man accepted the warm burger and fries as if they were treasure. "Thank you," he whispered, his voice hoarse. Maya just smiled. "Take care." "Okay?" Julian studied her. Young, maybe mid-20s. Tired eyes, but a kind face. There was warmth in her demeanor, even under fluorescent lights and the pressure of a busy shift. But then, a man stormed over. His name tag read Brian, and his scowl deepened with each step. "What the hell, Maya?" he growled. Maya turned to him, her posture straightening. "He comes in sometimes. He's always polite. I paid for it myself." "I don't care," Brian snapped. "This isn't a damn charity. You're setting a bad example. If corporate finds out you're giving away food." "I paid for it myself," she repeated, her voice tight. Julian stepped forward. "Is there a problem?" he asked, his tone casual. Brian gave him a dismissive glance. "Not your business. Seems like she paid for the guy's food herself." "What's the harm in that?" "It's about principle," Brian hissed. "This is a business." Julian observed in silence. A good manager should support kindness, not punish it. He clenched his jaw. He'd seen enough. He ordered a basic meal and sat where he could keep watching. Throughout the shift, he noticed Brian never lifted a finger. He barked orders, dismissed problems, and rolled his eyes at customer complaints. Maya, meanwhile, hustled. She managed the register, cleaned, helped the kitchen, and even fixed a fryer when no one else could. Julian made his decision. Tomorrow, he would return, but not as a customer. He showed up early the next day in the same worn clothes and applied for a job on the spot. The assistant manager, a wiry man named Sean, barely looked at the application. "We need people." "You can start today," Sean said, handing him a uniform polo that reeked of fryer grease. Training was rushed and chaotic. Julian relied on Maya to get through his first few transactions. "You'll get it," she whispered. "They just throw you in here." Julian nodded, pretending to be a nervous new hire, while quietly observing everything. The kitchen was understaffed. Grease buildup at the fry station suggested days without proper cleaning. Employees moved with urgency, as if bracing for disaster. Brian arrived an hour into the shift and immediately started barking orders. "Maya, drive-through." "Sean, restock." "New guy," he said, nodding at Julian, "clean the lobby. Make sure no one's loitering." Julian complied, using the opportunity to keep watching. More problems surfaced. Brian ignored a delivery truck until the driver complained. When a cook burned his hand, Brian dismissed him with, "Just wear a glove and keep working." Julian gritted his teeth. Mid-shift, a woman arrived with 2 small children. Maya took her order with grace, but Brian jumped in. "You forgot to charge for the extra sauce." "It's 25 cents, Maya replied calmly. "That's the problem," Brian snapped. "You treat this place like a soup kitchen. That's why you're behind the register and not running a store." Julian stepped forward. "That's not necessary." Brian turned. "Stay out of it, rookie." Julian held his ground. "A little respect goes a long way." Brian sneered and walked off. By the end of the shift, Julian had seen enough. The next morning, he returned in his usual crisp attire. The employees were prepping for the day. Maya looked up, confused at the transformation. Brian emerged from the back. "Can I help you?" "Yes," Julian replied. "Actually, you can." Brian scoffed. "If this is about your shift, talk to Sean." "I'm not here for a shift," Julian said evenly. "I'm Julian Wells, owner." The room fell silent. Maya's eyes widened. Sean froze. Brian blinked. "You're kidding." Julian pulled out his ID and placed it on the counter. Brian's smirk disappeared. "Let's talk in the back," Brian said. "No. We're doing this here." Julian turned to Maya. "You did the right thing. You showed character. I watched a team that worked hard under pressure while management failed them." He turned to Brian. "And I saw a manager who did the opposite. You dismiss problems, belittle staff, and ignore safety concerns. That's not leadership. That's negligence." Brian flushed. "You saw one shift. I saw enough. And I reviewed the complaints. It's a pattern." Brian blustered. "I was enforcing policy. Then you were doing it wrong. We have policies about respect and safety. You've broken both." Brian's fists clenched. "So what now?" "You're terminated. Effective immediately." Brian looked stunned. "You can't." "I can. And I am." Brian looked around, searching for support. No one offered it. He yanked off his keys and stormed out. The silence was heavy until Maya let out a slow breath. Julian turned to the team. "Things changed starting today." "What kind of changes?" Sean asked. "Better staffing, real training, and leadership that supports the team," Julian said. He turned to Maya. "I want you to be the new manager." She blinked. "Me? I've never managed before." "You've been leading already." "I saw it." Sean nodded. "She's held this place together longer than Brian ever did." "We'll give you the training and support," Julian added. Maya hesitated, then nodded slowly. "All right. I'll do it." Julian addressed the team again. "We're also adjusting wages and hiring more people. This ends the cycle of burnout. Leadership failures will have real consequences." A quiet cook spoke up. "So Greg doesn't get moved to another store?" "No," Julian said. "He's out for good." They spent the rest of the day planning schedules, resolving immediate issues, and setting a new tone. The atmosphere shifted. Maya took to her role quickly. Sean became more engaged. Employees moved with new energy. Later that afternoon, the same homeless man returned. Maya saw him, paused, then looked at Julian. He nodded. She greeted the man with the same warmth as before. This time, the meal came from a store policy Julian had enacted. As the man ate, unaware of the storm that had passed, Julian felt a quiet pride. This was leadership. This was how change began. A man in a company polo entered. Julian recognized him instantly. Marcus Holloway, the regional supervisor. "Didn't expect to see you here," Marcus said. "Decided it was time," Julian replied. They watched Maya at the register. "She always had potential," Marcus admitted. "Greg never saw it." "You moved fast." "Had to." "How much did you know?" "Some. Not enough." "I should have caught it." Julian didn't offer comfort. Only truth mattered. A woman stormed in. "I was here last week. The drive-through was slow. My order was wrong. The manager brushed me off." Julian listened. "You're right. That shouldn't have happened. He's gone. And Maya's in charge now." Maya stepped forward. "I want to make things right. If there's ever an issue, come to me." The woman hesitated, then nodded. "Okay. I'll give it another shot." Marcus turned to Julian. "You're really rebuilding this." Julian watched Maya as she calmly handled the next customer. "That's the only way to fix it. And this was just the beginning."